So we're going to talk tonight about seasons of the heart. But before I get going, Pastor Irene's not here tonight, so I thought I'd just take this opportunity to just mention the folks who are involved in the service tonight. Irene's not here, but she's the visionary, she's the spiritual leader, she's the person who makes this all happen. And I can't say more about Pastor Irene except that she is a wonderful spiritual leader. Justin is in charge of our music. And I asked him what his title was, and he said canon, right? Canon?
Improv there.
He's
unofficial.
Well, I call him a canon. He's a loose cannon sometimes, but he writes the music, he conducts the music. He's our visionary as far as the music and making the service feel like it is here tonight. That's Justin. Over here's Lauren, and she's a beautiful voice that you hear over here. And I don't know much about Lauren, but she's here. Thank you, Lauren.
Yes.
And behind her is Gene, and Gene is playing the guitar, but he is also, you see the cameras back there, he's in charge of, I don't know what you call it, multimedia, just almost everything. But he records these, so if you go online, which you can, to the Boise Contemplative Center and look up the recordings for these services. Every single one is there. Gene's the one responsible for that. Then we have Arn back here, who you heard him read tonight, but he also does all sorts of things like lighting candles, getting ready. Edward, right here, is also a person of all trades. He's going to be doing the reading tonight, but he also is a leader here amongst our team as well in terms of putting the things together, thinking about the service and all of that. And with him is Brother Baxter. And Brother Baxter over there is the one who is actually the person who is quietly receiving the divine here for all of us, is what I would say. Finally, and I don't think I'm missing anybody else involved with the service, we have Ed over here, and Ed will be taking Irene's place throughout the rest of this service, and Ed also had a lot to do with creating the service and leading it as well. So that's the folks who are...
It should come as no surprise that it takes a man to
Oh yeah. So tonight, I want to start off, Seasons of the Heart. I want to ask you all a question. If I were to offer you $2 million. $2 million. I know. Assuming you cannot play a lick of piano. Can't play the piano at all. And if I were to offer you $2 million to play on Carnegie Hall 2 weeks tonight, a professional level expert piece on the piano, do you think you could do it? No, you couldn't. You could practice 24/7 for the next 7 days, 14 days, and you could not play a professional level piano concerto on Carnegie Hall. But if I asked you, I'll give you $2 million if you can play a professional level piano concerto on Carnegie Hall in 10 years. Do you think you could do it? I'm not asking you to be, Van Cliburn, just to be able to play professionally. Yes, of course you could do it. Because now, over the next 10 years, you could use every day to practice. You could funnel your energies into becoming a piano player. You could hire experts to teach you along the way. So within 10 years, you could become a professional level piano concerto player. With time comes power. With time, we have the ability to do amazing things. Things that we can't do right now. But if we have patience, perseverance, and discipline over time, we can create skills. You've all seen Groundhog Day. So Groundhog Day keeps repeating himself. Bill Murray does, for those of you who haven't seen it. If you haven't seen it, you must not be movie watchers because it's a great movie. But he becomes a pianist, he becomes an ice sculptor, what else does he become? He becomes all those kind of things because he relives the same day for years and years and years. And so he develops those practices which help him create becoming a certain person. James Clear, who wrote the book Atomic Habits, said, and I'll quote him here, he says, "Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become." We have tremendous power to transform ourselves into the people we would like to be. So people are always looking for mountaintop experiences, and that's a good thing. I'm looking for them too. I've had one, had maybe more than one. But besides that, in addition to that, because of willpower, discipline, volition, whatever you want to call it, through practices, we have the ability to create the kind of person we would like to be. And James Clear, it's a great book, Atomic Habits. He says that by practicing something for a period of time, you become that person. You identify yourself as that person. So after you've played the guitar and practiced the guitar for however long, 6 months, 2 months, 6 months, 2 years, 3 years, whatever, pretty soon you stop saying, "I'm playing the guitar," and you start saying, "I'm a guitarist." You run half a mile, you run 5 miles, you run 10 miles, 8, whatever. You run a half a marathon. And after a while, instead of saying, "I run every day," you say, "I'm a half marathoner." Now, you may not be a championship marathoner, or you may be, but you are. That's your identity, a marathoner. So we have the ability to transform ourselves into the kind of people we would like to be. Every action we take is a vote on the kind of person we want to be. So over 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, we have the ability to become generous, grateful, forgiving, compassionate, and all of those qualities we say we would like to be. So here's a question, which James Smith brings up in his book, How to Inhabit Time. He says the pivot question is, we also have seasons. And seasons are things like summer, winter, fall, spring. Spring, we just pass it, how easily they forget. How much control do we have over the seasons? Individually, very little, right? They're going to come, they're going to go. But what he would say, James Smith would say, is we have a lot of power to figure out how we're going to inhabit those seasons. So we all go through seasons in life. Marriage, raising kids, caregiving, illness, retirement, new callings. My grandfather was a farmer. And so I can remember him during times of drought or times of flood on his farm in Kansas, which had no irrigation, praying through that season. Those were seasons he had nothing he could do about. But what he could do was find a way to inhabit that time, to prepare for that time, to be ready for that time, to healthily go through that time, and emerge on the other side with a crop to sell. We all know Ecclesiastes. It's the main verses that come through this book, How to Inhabit Time. Ecclesiastes 3, 1 through 8, and I'll just read part of it. To everything there is a season. A time to be born, a time to die, a time for every purpose under heaven. Yes, I got that out of order. A time to plant, a time to pluck what's planted, a time to weep, a time to laugh, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak. So the main insight from Smith and Clear are these. Life unfolds in seasons. We do not control the seasons. We do choose how to inhabit those seasons. So discipline asks ourselves, how will we continue? Do we continue? Because not all practices will go through our entire life. We may get too old to do the high jump. We may not be able to read anymore. So we're not reading novels with a book in front of us. We may be reading different kind of ways. We may not be able to do this or that. We may not be runners anymore. We may be walkers. So practices may not necessarily continue, but they can continue. Practices continue for as long as we're able to do them and will ourselves to do. But discernment, different than discipline, says, should I do it? What should I do? Discernment helps us to adapt. In 2013, I went to Italy, and I spent 3 months there teaching, and it was transformational for me. And I had this experience, and these experiences seeing great art, great cathedrals, and when I walked out of there, I had been transformed. And over a period of time, the books that were on my bookshelves, which used to be business books and books about, how do you become successful, how do you, Carnegie, how do you get, rich, and this and that and the other, how do you become famous? All those books over the next 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 years all changed one by one to books about spirituality, books about religion, books about philosophy. I entered what I'm calling my season of spiritual learning. And that's what I've been doing for the last, 13 years. So discernment in this context is a practice of looking deeply into what the season is, what is the season in our lives, and how we should respond. And so bringing it back to this service here, practices like contemplative practice can transcend the seasons, just like practices. We can listen, we can empty, we can worship, we can exercise patience, we can ask for what's our calling, what's our purpose. We can notice what's going on in ourselves and all around us. All those are contemplative practices and contemplative work. We can come to our contemplative services. We can come to contemplative discussions. So the closing question here is, what season are you in right now? What seasons have you been in, and how well did you inhabit them? How well are you inhabiting this season? And how better can you discern what you're being asked to do, what God is giving you the grace to do during this season? What is this season asking of me, and what practices will help me inhabit it faithfully? We cannot control the seasons. By grace, we can learn to inhabit them well.